Hi guys, welcome back. This is Nilendu. So in this tutorial we will learn about polymorphism, which is the third pillar of OOPS concepts. So we are going to cover the following topics. First is we will learn what is polymorphism, then types of polymorphism, some examples of polymorphism in Java, and finally what are the benefits of polymorphism. So polymorphism as a word, it has a Greek it's a Greek word, and it means, or it symbolizes many forms or shapes. So it means, from Java perspective or OOP perspective, it means the ability of the classes to have certain unique behavior of their own, but at the same time sharing a common link with their parent class. That means, although although that method or that behavior might start from the parent, but each of the child objects or subclasses will have their unique interpretations or unique behavior, which will extend that behavior in the parent class, and at the runtime the application can decide which behavior to adopt. So as I mentioned just now, polymorphism works at the runtime, and depending on the condition or logic, the code flow can take various paths. It can go to the sub-object subclass A or subclass B or subclass C, whatever is available, whatever the options are available based on what is the current code flow or what is the logic provided. So the ways polymorphism is done in Java are like overloading, overriding, and also method parameters via generics. So these are the main three types of how polymorphism is done in Java, and we will see some small examples of polymorphism using overloading and overriding. So here is a very simple diagrammatic explanation of polymorphism. So for example, let's say this is a shape class, and it has got three classes: circle, square, and triangle, which inherit or extend the shape class. So basically this means that circle, square, and triangle are all three of them are types of shapes. So if you instantiate a circle class and assign it to shape class, and you say that draw on that object, it will, although you're doing it on the shape interface or shape parent class, the draw method will be executed on the circle object. Similarly, had it been a square to which the shape is pointing, the draw, the erase method will be executed on the square object, and similarly for the triangle object also. We will see a very simple example in the next slides to understand this better. Okay, now one of the ways I told about how the polymorphism works is through overloading. So here is one example. So it's a calculator class, and it has got two sum methods. First one, sum method, takes two parameters. Both of them are integer, which is integer a and integer b. And the second sum method, the method name is again sum, but it takes two different parameters, although the names are same, a and b, but the types are long. So if you now call the sum method on the calculator object with two integer parameters, dynamically Java will know, or the JVM will know, that since it is integer, the sum method with the integer parameter should be called for the calculation. And at the same time, if you send or call the some method with two long parameters, Java will automatically bind that to the second sum method which acts on long primitives. So this is a kind of overloading. So that means dynamically the method is proper, or the right method is used for calculating the sum of two numbers. Now here is one more example of polymorphism, but this has overriding in it. So if you see this, it has got a dog class which is abstract class, and this class has two methods, or sorry, a method called setBreathe which is non-abstract, and one more method called bark which is abstract. That means this method can be implemented by the subclasses of dog. So now here is one subclass called hound. So public class hound extends dog. That means this class has to implement the bark method. So here we are extending the bark method and we are saying system out hoof hoof. Then there is one more class called terrier, which is also another subclass of dog, and this one also implements the bark method, and it's a little bit different. It just says woof woof. Now if you have, now here we are going to use these classes. So we just say dog 1 equals to new hound. So this dog is referencing the hound object, and second one, dog 2, is referencing the terrier object. Now if I say dog 1 dot bark, so if you see here, dog class has no bark method implementation, but dynamically it will know that dog 1 dot bark means go to this method because it is bound to hound, and dog 2 dot bark, since dog 2 is terrier, it will implement, or it will call the bark method of terrier. So this is a kind of overriding behavior, and it's a polymorphism in the sense at the runtime it knows which method on which class should be called. Okay, now let's see what are the benefits of polymorphism. So overloaded polymorphism informs the user that different methods perform similar tasks, although the method signature may be different. So let's say you have overloaded method, which means that same method name but with different signatures or different parameters. You will immediately, once you know one method, you will know that what the other methods can also do, although the parameter type will be different. So that is one example of one benefit of polymorphism. Second is it allows the interfaces to have different implementations. That means that you, for example, in the previous slide you had dog kind of interfacing the hound and terrier, so you can have different logics in the different subclasses. So this interface can point to different implementation, so which extends the flexibility of the application. So you could have like 5 more dog types, and all of them, for example, you could have a German Shepherd or Pomeranian or some other dog breed, and all of them can extend the dog class or dog interface and then have their own implementation of the bark method. So that gives the flexibility and extensibility to application. Okay, now overriding polymorphism allows more flexible use of different algorithms present in different subclasses. So what this means is that you for different complex objects, for example, let's say you have some vehicle class and you have car and two-wheeler or a motorboat extending the vehicle class. Each of them can have different implementation of the drive, and each of them can be drastically different, so there are different ways of doing it, but the interfacing can still remain the same. So if the vehicle is pointing to car, the way it will drive is different. If it is pointing to board, it will be totally different implementation on how it is implemented. So it provides more flexibility to subclasses on how to implement the logic. So I hope that this was useful to you, and in case you like my videos, so please like in the section below, or please leave your comments if you have any comments or suggestion for this to improve. Thank you.